Hi and welcome to another installment of Shooting Star. This week we're going to be discussing the top 10 tips on how to shoot wedding preparation photos. Yes, I did put out on Facebook that I would be asking for questions, and your questions were actually so good that it changed my original idea from discussing how I shoot wedding preparation photos and how JD shoots wedding preparation photos. I scratched that idea and instead tried to address as many of your questions from Facebook as possible. So we're gonna walk this through. I'm flubbering all day. I'm just gonna keep on running with it because this is like our 5th take and I'm done with it. Okay, top 1 tip, be specific. Know the shots that you want to get prior to you walking into the room. It's not a hard and fast rule, but the things that I focus on are the dress, the shoes, the purse, the jewelry, the rings, the bouquet, undergarments, gifts, makeup details, and this is all before I even start on the candid photos. So having an idea of what you want to take, and then if you have extra time, you can then get creative and also focus on candid photos. So making sure you have a list going into the room so you don't walk out thinking, oh my gosh, did I miss anything? Number 2, be detailed. I have usually around 30 to 45 minutes of prep time. In this short amount of time, I need to walk into the room and I need to know the shots that I need to take, and I need to stylize every shoot as I shoot those details. 3, ask the maid of honor for the details in advance. I don't want to pester or bother the bride because she's probably getting her hair and makeup done, and I don't want to ask her for the garter, for her shoes, for the dress. So instead I ask a friend who's probably just watching things as they go down. I find out that it's friend's name and then I immediately make her an ally. Like, hey, Emily, can you make sure and get me the shoes, the dress, the jewelry, the garters, the bouquet, and all those things that I need, and then I don't have to bother anybody else for the remainder of my time there. Which leads me to the next point. Number 4. Stay out of the way. At least that's my approach. Again, it's not for everybody. Sometimes people are a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more involved. I just feel that there's so much going on in the room, they don't need another person and another opinion. There have been times that I've even taken the wedding details outside of the wedding room to photograph them in a quiet hallway or in a portico or in a place where there's better light and less people in the background. 5, make sure and make introductions to the hair artist and the makeup artist. I feel that if I can give them my business card and they can give me their business card, we'll become allies later on in the industry, and hopefully we can send business back and forth to each other because I want to make sure that they're well taken care of. Number 6, clean the room and declutter. A lot of times photographers express frustration with a dirty room. Well, that's what happens when you have like 16 girls staying in a hotel suite, as they lead to a very exciting moment. So what I do is I choose a location where I want the bride to actually get dressed, and then I remove everything in the background, the shoes, the gifts, anything that I think will devalue the picture, for lack of better words, I remove from outside of my frame. Which leads me to the next point, which is point 7, suggest the best light. Now, I don't tell the bride, hey, this is where I want you to dress. I casually mentioned it to either the mother of the bride or the maid of honor, and I explained to them, this right here is the best light that I think the bride should be getting dressed in. Have her positioned towards me, and maybe you can just go and let her know. When she's receiving it from a trusted source and somebody that I really don't want to be up in her face too much that day, I think it makes for a much easier transition, and she's getting dressed in the best possible location, which is usually by the window. 8, less posing is best. If I miss a moment as they're zipping, which I try not to, I won't have them do it again because I feel like as we're going through the process of the day, I want it to be as genuine as and authentic as possible. If I feel like if they went much faster, I'll quickly run behind them. And most of the time, if bridesmaids notice that I'm right behind them, they continue doing what they're doing, so I don't have to ask or prompt them to change however those actions manifest or unfold themselves. Number 9, bring an extra light. I have mentioned in the past another shooting star about the video lights that I bring. Whenever I'm in a pinch, that video light always saves me. It actually allows me to enter a room confidently because if I can leverage window light, a video light, and even a bedstand light, I know that I have plenty of light to shoot in even the most extreme situations. Number 10, finally, roll with the punches. I have been there to where it is a tiny hotel room. There are lots of people and it's very dim light. I totally get it. But there's nothing that you could do to change that location except take what you have and make it work to the best of your ability. We're going to get into a few Facebook questions. Hector Vasquez asked, it's hard for a guy to get preparation photos as the bride dresses, and he feels like he misses things. Then he asked for suggestions. My first suggestion to Hector would be to make a friend. Remember how I talked about the maid of honor? If you can get the proverbial maid of honor, that Emily, to be on your side as a male photographer exits the room, if the bride does not want him in the room, make sure, Hector, you're turning to the maid of honor and saying, hey, Emily, can you make sure the minute she's in her dress, stick your head out of the door and call me in so I don't miss anything? My second option, which I actually think is preferable, is to get a female second shooter, because then she's in the room the entire time and she doesn't miss anything. And there's something acutely valuable about having a female on your team. Just my opinion, which is not worth much. Don Gilmore asks, I prefer the 50mm and the 85mm, but sometimes it's too tight. Do you have any suggestions? And Dawn also mentioned that she shoots with a 24mm. For a while, I shot with a 24mm, but I have since changed to the 35mm. I take the 50mm 1.2, the 85mm 1.2, I take the 100mm macro, and I also take the 35mm 1.4. Those are all fixed lenses. They give me a wide variety of what I need, and they can also shoot in really low light situations, which leads me to the last and final question from Shauna Elva. Shauna asks, how do you handle low light situations? Well, remember, I bring my video light. I also shoot really wide open with my fixed lenses. Between those two things and positioning the bride in advance and explaining the importance to bystanders of the bride dressing in that good light, I hardly have an issue anymore. It's taking that little extra step to educate those around you in a really in a pinch or in a short situation to make it work for you. This has gone on far too long and I'm talking way too much. I hope you have a wonderful week and stay fabulous.